What's up? I'm your Elixir mentor, Jacob Blitzo. Today we are putting the finishing touches on the main layout for our GitHub Gist clone project. One of the final pieces we are focusing on is the construction of the footer. This component will tie together the overall design and ensure a cohesive user experience across all pages. Let's dive in and finalize this essential part of our app. Let's open up our project. And we're going to go into the lib directory and then Elixir Gist web and then components, layouts, and find our app.html.hex file. And you'll see our pull down, our drop down menu, our main div, and we're going to throw in our footer down here. So there's our footer div right underneath main. And let's pull up our designs to remind ourselves what we're doing. We did our navigation bar, which is up here. I know I'm a little zoomed in, but it's okay. And then down below, we have our footer, which is underneath everything. We have a divider line, and then we have our copyrights, our logo, and then important links. And we're going to be putting all these components together. And things to pay attention to, we do not have this divider line going all the way to the edge like our nav bar. And neither does our information, so our logo and all that good stuff. So this is what we're building. Let's go ahead back to our VS Code project and start building this out. We have our footer tag underneath our main tag, and we're going to have to add some CSS classes here. So do class equals, and then opening and closing quotation marks. And we're going to want a specific height of our footer. And going off the designs, I am going to do 120 pixels, so H dash, then opening square brackets 120 px. Whenever you're not using units and you're trying to use pixels exactly, you want the square bracket. And then we're also going to want this div to be the full width of the web view. So do a W dash full. And then to organize the items inside of this div, I'm thinking of using the Flexbox layout. This will make arranging items inside a little more intuitive. So let's go ahead and add the Flex class as well. And then centering the items along the vertical axis will just make everything look a lot nicer as well. So we can use a justify center. And then we also want our text within our footer to be white. So let's set our text color for everything inside here. So text white. All right. And then let's see, to ensure content inside the footer has spacing from the edges, let's add a little horizontal padding, and we can do that with a px-16 units. And then we also want to add top padding on the top to space down from our inner content when it's loaded. So whenever we load, our live views, we don't want it tight against those views. So let's go ahead and just do a py 20 for now. We might have to adjust this later when we start building our live views, but that should be good for now. And then inside our footer, we are going to want an inner container. And what this is going to allow us to do is we can pad in the edges a little more and then add the horizontal line within here. And then we can also add another div that will hold logo, copyright, and those links. So let's make another div. And this div, we need to add some CSS classes to as well. And we want it to be the full width of the parent div that it's in, so our footer. And then we want to add padding to this one as well. So we're just going to do px10. And I'll show you what we're doing in a little bit once we have our little divider line drawn. So now inside of this inner div, this is where we're going to stack the divider line and our copyright and link information. So we're going to make another div, and this div is going to be our divider line. So all we need to do is add some classes here, and we're going to add a border to this div, but we only want it to be on the top of this div. So we're going to do border-t, and that's for top. And then we only want it 1 pixel thick. And so if we just did a border without just the top, it would be a rectangle for this entire div, right? So we want it to be just 1 pixel thick, and we also want our border to be white. And now if we save this, and pull up the terminal, command space terminal, cd into our projects. Mine is in documents, develop, Elixir mentor, and then Elixir gist. And then we can do mix space phx.server to get our project up and running. And then if we open up localhost 4000, you will see we have our divider line. So cool, that is working. And let's go back to our code, and we might as well add, let's see, we want it to be the full width of this div, so it won't hurt. So it still looks the same. There we go. And now what we need to do is, we don't want anything inside of the divider line div, but we want another div directly underneath it. And this is going to be the div that holds our logo, copyright, and links. And we have some CSS classes we're going to need. So class equals, opening quotations, closing. We want it to be flexbox layout. So add flex, and that will, so these items just sit horizontally, correct? And we also want them to vertically align. So we can do items dash center, and that will make sure that they're center in this div. And then we're going to need space between each item. So we're just going to do space dash x dash 2 units. And then we also want some vertical padding to get it off of our divider line. And that's with py6. And I just know these values because I've built this project, and that's what looked closest to the designs, okay? Now inside of this div, we need to add our image. So let's go ahead and do that first. So image, and now we need to add the source. And if you remember in a previous video, we added static resources, and that's in priv static. And then remember, we added fonts, and while we were there, we also added some images that we weren't using yet. And so we need em-logo.svg. And if you don't have this stuff yet, you can download that. I'll have the asset link in the description below. And all we have to do now in this source is put the path, and that's /images/em-logo.svg. And we don't have to do priv static images because it knows where all the static things are. So we just need the directory from the static directory on. So that's why it's just images/em.svg. And then we can add some alt information here. And this is good for accessibility reasons and things, and just whatever the description is. So we'll say it's Elixir mentor logo. And then next to this, still inside the opening image tag, we can do class equals and then opening, closing quotations. And we also need to do a / because our tag ends there. And we'll come back to add classes. But I first just want to save this, and let's pull up there we go. So we see the logo. It's a bit big. So now if we go back to the image we just set, our class, we probably should just, make this nice, small, and clean. So let's just go ahead and do an H-8 and a W-8, and that makes it a nice square and small. So now when we go and look at it, it's right there. And you don't want your footer big. And so I think that looks pretty good. So back to our code. So now we need to add copyright text next to this logo, right? And since inside of this div that our image is in is the flex box, it's going to be lined up next to it with spacing of 2 units in between everything. And we can just do a paragraph. So a paragraph tag is just P. And inside this, we just need text. We need the copyright symbol, which you can do Option G, copyright, and then space 2023, and we're going to do Elixir Mentor. And then if we save this, we can go back to, there we go. So looking pretty good. Now the font in size is not right, but we'll get to that in a little bit. But for now, we're just caring about the information. So that looks awesome, right? All right, now we need to add our links, and our links go next to our copyright. So we're going to wrap our links in another div though, but this div is going to the right of our copyright information. So just make another div, and inside this opening div, we need to add some CSS classes. And we want our text to be a different color. So if you remember looking at our designs, we're actually using our dark lavender color that we've added. Since that's already in our tailwinds, we can call so we can say text, and then we can call our custom color, which is EM lavender -dark. We also want some padding between them on the x-axis. So we want padding from the copyright to the group of links, because it's not evenly spaced. So if you see this space here, it's not the same as the space between the links. So we're going to go ahead and add some just padding on the x-axis of 4 units. Whoops, px-4. And now inside this div, we can add some anchor tags for our links. So just do an A, and the href here, delete these opening quotations and closing, and do an opening, closing, curly brace, and then we're going to do a -p, and then our string value path. Right now, for demonstration purposes, it's just going to link to our home page. We're going to have pages to link to in the future. But for now, we are just, delete that second closing quotation mark. But for now, just doing the / links to the home page. And that's all we care about for the moment, because we actually don't have the terms page, privacy, or about page, but we are just setting up the UI. And now, inside the anchor tag, so in between the opening and closing tags, we want it to say terms, okay? And now if we save that and go to localhost, there we go. And now we have a link, and clicking that actually goes to the home page, which is really cool. And it's that dark lavender color. Perfect. Now, I think we want to have like an underline when it's hovered, so it's better UX. You know that your cursor's over it, and it makes it a little more apparent that it's clickable, right? So if we go back to VS Code, inside the opening anchor tag, we add a class equals, and then opening, closing quotations. All we have to do is just do hover, colon, and then say underline. And now if we check it out again, now when we hover, it underlines it, and that's really cool. So now we know our cursor's going over it. We could change the color like we did in the nav bar, but I think that looks pretty good. All right, so we have 3 more links we want to add, and I'm just going to copy and paste this 2 more times inside the same div that this anchor tag is in. So there we go. And the second one is privacy. And the third one is the about page. Okay, now if we save it and go back to our browser, now we see all that good stuff. All right. So now, like, obviously this doesn't look like the design. The font is off. It's a little big. Let's go ahead and go back to our footer tag. And now up here in our class, we can go at the end of our padding on the Y. First of all, we want our branded font, right? So we want font dash brand. And then we don't want it bold. We want it font regular for the weight. And then for the text size, we just want extra small. And now let's save that and go back to our browser. That's looking a little better. I think we want some more spacing in between our items, our links though. They look a little close. So let's go ahead and the div class right here where we have our lavender. Yes, we spaced off the parent div, but let's go ahead and do like some P. I think we want to do space -x -2 maybe, and save that and go back to our browser. And there we go. Now they're spread out a little more. And I think that's looking pretty good. That's it. So we built our footer using, for our app using HTML and Tailwind CSS, incorporating a brand logo, copyright text, and essential links. This footer neatly complements the overall designs, offering an appealing and user-friendly navigation. As always, if you need help or want to check out the solutions, check out that GitHub link in the description below. Join my Discord server, Elixir Mentor, if you have any questions or just want to hang out and chat. That link is in the description as well. If you want to learn how to build scalable, production-ready, full-stack, and REST API solutions, hit that subscribe button now. I'm Jacob Blitzo, your Elixir Mentor. See you in the next video.